Right, so there you go. That's all of those little bits and bobs stuck in place. So all we need to do now is the other side, because I'll do a little page through with you. So we've attached those. You saw that I had cut these too big. Okay, so I cut, instead of cutting them to 4, I cut them to 4.5. And then obviously just had to trim everything in to fit, which is not really a problem. As long as I haven't cut it too small, it's never a problem. Okay, so remember, once we start to stick, everything goes into place and you can get your sizing and placing a little bit better. All right, so that's going to go inside like that. Then we have this. Okay, haven't decided if I want to add photos or journaling inside there. Then that opens up like that. Right, then we've got this one that opens there. We've got some pictures that are going to go in. I'm going to put a little sentiment here, and we've still got to do inside here, but all things that can be done once we've finished putting the whole album together. We'll use the bits and pieces. And again, with the inserts, I don't want to use up too much pattern paper, because I can always fill with photographs and then put in the little pieces that are left over. So all we've got to do now is inside here. I chose just to have a piece of full piece of cardstock pattern paper that's going to go in over here like that. A little bit more to that. So I'm going to attach this one first. For this one, I have attached some double-sided tape, mainly because I'm going to be attaching directly onto the construction tape, and it is a bit like fabric. And I find that if I try and use the glue directly on there, sometimes it lifts off. And if I can do the glue and the tape, I have a better chance of everything sticking in place. For this, I like to use the art glitter glue. So we're just going to apply some of the glue all along the tape. I'm just going to put it on so that it also gives me a chance to make to be able to just shift my paper if I do get it in a bit skew. So everywhere that I've put the tape, I'm just putting on some of the glue. And then also in between, just to give it a good stick. You don't want your stuff to lift up. Make sure there's enough on that my stuff is going to stick well. All right. Pop that back inside there. Right, and then I'm just going to attach this one so that I have a border around the top and the bottom. And I don't mind that this border is slightly broader, as long as my top and bottom. So I'm lining it up with the spine at the top and the bottom, making sure it's a good stick, and then just making sure I get any air bubbles that may be in there out. Let's see, some of the glue is oozing out. My suggestion is that you actually clean that up straight away. Don't leave that to dry there. It will dry clear, but you don't want to leave a big clump of glue oozing out of your... There we go. So that will hopefully not come loose. All right, so there's that one. So again, now when I close up, this all forms part of the story, and each one that closes, this then offsets everything really nicely. It all just flows well. Okay, so we've got to do this one over here, and I've already done everything, so we're just going to have to stick it. If I can pick it up. All right, here we go. Okay, so the same story. We needed something that is going to offset the pattern on the side here. You need something that's going to offset this nicely, so I thought that one would look nice. And then we need something that goes inside, and I'm going to add that. So for me, these two patterns complement each other well, and then the blues and the oranges and the rusty colors we all pick up inside here. And then obviously going inside here now is the little page insert. So I took a cut apart block. I have picked up this pattern paper that picks up nicely with there, and that's going to go there. And then I haven't stuck my photographs yet, and I haven't chosen my paper for inside there just yet, but this just gives you an idea of where that's going to, how that's going to look when everything is together. Right, I do have pieces cut out for inside here. I just haven't put them on yet. I've used leftover bits like that, and of this and of that to be inside here. All right, so I will go ahead and off camera stick everything, all that in place, and I'll be back to show you. Right, so then the last thing, well, second last thing is then the front cover, and I've already explained to you how that's going to go together. So I'm also going to just stick everything, and then I will come back and show you what that looks like. And then the front cover. Okay, so I took a full sheet out of my booklet and stuck that down, and then just put the strips at the top and the bottom of these hearts. This strip also comes out of the booklet. I also took a piece of leftover of the dot, cut it, measured the spine, and stuck that in. And then for the back, I kept this big piece, a full sheet like this, that I could attach at the back. And the same thing, I have put tape all the way around the edges. I will be putting glue on that and attaching that in place like that. But I've already done that with you, so I'm just going to do all these last few things I'm going to do off camera. Or maybe I'll just put on music and quickly show you how I assemble. But I want to show you what I decided to do for my front. Okay, I went through my little embellishments. I pulled out a whole lot of things that I thought would look really nice, and I'll explain how I got to this part in a bit. So these are I chose a big and a small champagne bottle. I have the dude holding the champagne and the lady, and then a present, a camera, a fan, and some shoes. I chose those little goodies for my embellishing. And then I have this, I found this in the back of a piece that I was going to throw away. I happened to see the little champagne glass and I thought, oh, I could use that. Even though it's not a full piece, I could use that to go behind something. So I cut it out and kept it, and I'm glad I did that. So originally, when I was planning my page, I had decided that I just wanted to put this on like that with another piece of this pattern running through like that. So when I had it in front of me and like that, it was like, I don't know, it just kind of, compared to what's going on inside the album, this kind of like looked a little bit sad. And even though it could probably work, maybe for the back of the page, but I just felt like if I was going to use it like this, I maybe should have swapped it around. I should have done this as my border and put my heart paper here, just to make this stand out a little bit more. Right. So then I was stumped because now I've cut up everything. I've put everything in place. I don't have any more paper. I can't change my mind. I'm going to have to make this work. So I took inspiration from this little cluster that Louise created on this tag. And I thought, well, why not just bring in some more goodies? So I put the little dude, I brought him in. I started by just repeating what she's done. I went to find goodies in the laser cuts that would match, and thought there's no reason why I can't take inspiration from what she's already done. She's already done all the work. Let me just use that. So I figured I would just pop in some champagne bottles, and I don't mind that I'm going to cover up most of what is going on the page. So I popped that one up there, this one down here, moved her up a little bit. Thought we could cover up here with the gap with that, and then bring in a present and some shoes, because on hers she's got the shoes going out there. No reason why we can't use the shoes to come out this way. And then she doesn't have a present, but I needed something extra just to bring it along And then I put this little fan at the back here like that. So it all works. Just used the ideas that she had already put together to create a little cluster. And that's where this little champagne, it just felt like I needed something at the back here. Another little champagne glass. And then we can bring this in like that. So something, you can see more or less where that's going. Obviously when everything is stuck in place, it'll be a little bit better. But just by layering the bigger pieces and the smaller pieces, what did I put it up at the top? I think there. I can't remember. I'll play around and then find a place for I know I did use it. I think right at the back here. Something like that. Anyway, I'll play around and I will put them in place. But the idea here really is to use what I had and try keep with my original plan to use the tag. And then I'll just shift all of that up just a little bit so that it all runs across like that. And I think then that creates a really nice front cover with the opportunity of adding a little sentiment or a little something extra over there like that. Right. So what I'm going to do now, I think, is put on some music and finish putting the rest of everything together. I'll stick all of this in place and then I will see you in a bit. So I'm going to start by putting glue on this and then I will put everything else so that by the time I'm ready to stick this, the glue has dried tacky. Okay, then just a little tip. When you are applying, like I like to put glue on to be able to tuck things behind, I would just put some glue on the bottom. I won't cover the whole cluster just yet. You can always go back in and add more, but just that I have a little bit of tacky glue just at the bottom so that I can go in and add things. And if I wanted to add a little foam square to lift some things, I can, because remember this is the front. You can get away with a little foam square here or there. Okay, so I'll put on some music, finish putting everything together and see you in a bit. Right, so I'm done putting most of everything in place before I start with the embellishing. I did decide to go and stamp very ghost stamping on the back of this label, ticket, whatever you want to call it, so that it just wasn't too white. I also inked around the edges, but you can see how nicely that has turned out now, and I have the option, like I said, to add a little sentiment or a title or a caption at the top there at a later stage. But I'm very happy with the way that's turned out. Then when I was attaching this in place, I obviously hadn't measured properly, or I attached this piece too close. So I have this gap here. So what I did is I just went and found a piece of leftover stripe, the little strip, and I cut a 1/2 centimeter border. I just cut it like that by 24.5, and I'm just going to attach that to hide the little gap. See, it's very easy to fix any kind of, if your measuring is off, there's lots of ways to fix to hide the gap. So I'm going to attach this flush against the lady pattern paper. I'm flush against here. Okay, so then that it overlaps onto the paper more on the left, because I'd like most of her to stick out. If I put it in the middle, it's going to cover her hair up there, and I don't want that. I want most of her face to be showing. I'm just going to make sure that that is stuck in place like that. So most of the gluing and matting done. So there's the inside. Here's that first flap. Inside here, I'm going to be putting in more photos on Photomat, just single ones like that. I don't want to put another insert. So this comes out. And again, remember, my paper wasn't the right, it was only 20 centimeters. So I cut another little piece that looks like that and put some washi tape over to create that join. So that'll become a book for me to be able to add more photos or some journaling. And then this opens up with a photo here, and then we've got that one over there. Okay, then this, I will most likely put a label or something, a tab on here to be able to turn it. Or maybe I'll use an embellishment, one of the die cuts, as the turning point. There are those options. And then obviously I still have to add my pattern paper here, but I mean, I've run through it with you. You can easily go ahead. So we're going to measure the space is 5 centimeters. We're going to cut a piece that measures 4.5 and stick it in there. So you can then choose, do you want it to be the length of your photograph, or do you want to go right to the top? Personally, I would keep the strips at the top and the bottom the same, and then just cut this little piece to 15.5 to fill this gap. And again, you don't have to put it in the pattern paper. There's enough space there to put some lines and do some journaling. So an option that can be done at a later stage. The pattern that I choose to go here, I will try and select something that matches what's going on here. So I do have some star paper left. I don't know if I've got this length, so I might be joining it to fill up the space, just to pick up what's going on there. If I don't have a lot of this left, but I have a lot of this left, then I would pick this one up to go across like that, just to finish it off. Right, and then, like I said, we have the page insert that's going to go inside here, and I'm going to show you quickly how I did that. But that then is going to slide inside there to be like that. That gives us that page insert. It closes up, and we can then put the book back. The little insert then is what becomes the closure. You can see how nicely the colors and the patterns run through, the cascades through. So there we go. This at the back here is a pocket. So you're not limited to this one insert. You could add more if you wanted to, but there again, you can see how nicely that has turned out. Okay. And if the person opens up like this, I've made sure that this flows with what's going on this side as well. The colors and everything like that flows. So again, we've got this one. So I also just cut a pattern, a leftover pattern that I liked out here. I cut the heart pattern, and then have just put some washi tape across to kind of make that stand out. And again, nothing inside, because I would like the option to add more photos or journaling. So here we have our Glitz and Glamour, which I really, like I said, goes well with that. So this comes from the booklet. So then this opens up like that. Okay, and the pattern here picking up with a pattern over there, the green picking up with the greens inside here. And when the goodie is open, say they left it open while they were paging through, okay, this pattern here on this side matching with what's going on over there. All right, so we've got that, and again I will go and add in the bits and bobs at a later stage. Right, and then we have our page insert with our photos here. Okay, which goes really well with here. So here's the little booklet that comes out. Again, I haven't done anything on the inside. Here's the little photo. We could add a sentiment. We can really embellish. So this is just your first layer. And we can go in now and add all the little embellishments. It doesn't need a lot. We can just tweak it with a few little things to make it interesting. So photo. And I made sure that when I put this in, that this part, the best memories I made at a party, is what sticking out on my pocket, so that it looks like it's another something that's tucked in behind there. All right, then that opens like that. A little sentiment's going to go over here, a little pattern with some sentiment, but you can see how nicely the patterns then work together. So we've got this pattern picking up with this one. It all then works, coordinates really well. And again, I will finish up on the inside. So that then closes up like that. And then you have your last page where I have added a little journaling card here. We can add some journaling, and then I still need to add my pattern to that, which I will do. And I've shown you now how that is done. So a lot of the stuff I will do off camera and come back with a proper walkthrough. And then the back of the album is done. Right, to be able to do these inserts, to get them covered up, basically I just took some pattern paper. I think we'll use this side. All right, I've cut this, so you need to cut the length of your insert is 23 by 2.5. So I'm just going to cut this piece to 23. And then you just need to make sure what you want showing on there, what piece you're going to cut off and discard. And we're going to cut, I need 2 at 2.5, because we need 1 for the front and we need 1 for the back. And this is a nice way to use up any little extra bits and pieces that you've got left laying around. Okay, we'll just keep that handy. And then all I did, okay, to create the label on the tab on my cardstock, is I slid this in to my punch board to 8 centimeters punched, turned it over, moved it in at 8 centimeters and punched. And we're going to do that same thing now on my paper. So I know that I want this side to show, so I'm going to slide this in to the 8 centimeter mark on my punch board, turn it around, do the same thing, slide it in at 8 centimeters and punch. We'll do that to both of them. Move that into the 8 centimeter mark and punch, turn that over, do the same thing, punch. Right, before I trim it, I'm just going to double check that that is going to fit. Yes, it will. So then I line this up on my mat. Take my ruler. You can do this on your paper trimmer if you prefer. I prefer to work on the mat with a craft knife. I have more control. And all I'm going to do is trim this piece off this side, like that. Turn this over, line it up so that I've got it straight, and then do the same thing. Pop my ruler down, and trim off the excess like that. We can then add a little bit of ink. I'm just going to ink the edges a little bit. And then do the same to the other one. You can, if you want to, once you've got it attached, stuck down like that. It doesn't have it straight. If you feel that you are confident and you're not going to go skew, you can do it all in one go, or that you're not going to cut off your tab. You can do that and that. You can do it in one go. You don't have to do it the other way. I just feel if you worry that you're going to cut too far down, it's good to just turn it over. You're less likely to cut into or cut off your tab. We'll just add some ink. I don't want to put too much down the one side, just a little bit to soften the edges a bit. You can see I'm not putting a lot of ink on my blending tool. Right, and then once you've done that, we can then just attach that to your, so that's just going to be attached like that. So I can see, okay, so for this one I can see that perhaps I have taken it into, I haven't trimmed off enough. So it looks to me like I need to trim off about 1 mil. So I'll do that. Just a little bit of editing. Let's see where we're at. Now if I attach that, because remember you want it to be flush on your label. And that's going to work out quite well. I can always trim off any excess on the other side, but as long as my label is going to attach without anything hanging over, I think that's going to work fine. There's always going to be a little bit of editing required. So I'm going to put some glue on my label, the edges. Okay. So I'm happy with the gap between my pattern and my photograph. Going to attach that so that it is flush like that. I will use the other side to make sure. And then just burnish that in place. Turn that over. You can see that there's a slight overhang. I will wait a little bit for the glue to dry properly, but for the sake of showing you, normally I would just put it aside and wait a bit. You can then trim off the excess. I have to do this one from the top. Okay, so for this one I would then just cut it here first and then trim off from the top so you don't accidentally cut off your label. So there we go, that looks pretty good. Give it a little bit of ink. All right. So you can decide if you wanted to go from the top to the bottom like that, or just in line with your photographs. I think it looks better from the top to the bottom. I think because then it forms like part of the background. I prefer that, but again, it is entirely up to you how you would like that to play out. So then if you wanted to go from here to here, you would, I think, pre-measure it or cut this piece to 22.5. So we'll do exactly the same thing on the other side because I don't have a photograph there yet. And I can just get that on. I don't have to worry so much about the trimming. Because again, I'm not sure if I want to put photos on this side or if I'm going to just go with pattern paper or journaling. You want to just leave yourself some options. You can always add. It's hard to take away, but you can always add. Just going to get that on properly. Make sure there's no overhang this side. There we go. And again, I'll still need to do a little bit of editing. So that little piece, the overhang, I'm just going to trim off. That side I've got doesn't seem to have much of an overhang. Again. And if you are more confident to use your scissors, then that's fine. Perfect. So just a little bit of ink. There we go. Right, so then that will go into my, I'll do that, repeat that process on the other insert. So I think this one, this is the one. Right, so we've already done the back, and I will have it this way. And that's just going to go inside there like that. Once I've got more paper on, it'll slide in a little bit better, but then that's what's going to pop out on the edge like that. And you can put a label or a sentiment or something in there if you prefer. Okay, so then that one's going to go in like that. Okay, so I'm going to just run through some embellishing ideas with you. Like I say, I would like to give this album as a gift, and I would like for the person receiving it to decide their final touches. I have, like I said, I keep all my the good stuff in a tray, and then I have sentiments and tabs and things like that in a plate on the side. So, but just to give you an example, so you could easily, with this one, we could easily put the lady like that. Let's use a different one. So let's use her, okay, because I have her, because I've already used her friend. Okay, so you could put something on the edge like that. You could even put her down here so she forms part of that. And because we cut our dyes, our lasers mirror image, it's easy enough to pop another one in over there like that to cover it up. I do trim off the white border, but you don't have to. You can see that it does work just fine without having to trim it off. Okay, so then I would glue that on, and then that gives an option to know that you need to turn this over here. For this one, I would like to put something over here that goes up here, and we're going to put a little something maybe to match that. So I could easily pop the little mask over here. Okay. Again, I would trim off the white. I'm just going to do this one with you with some ideas, so he can go there, but only glue him down on there because we want to be able to get the booklet back in and want this to be loose. So I want this and this to be offset. Okay, I can then go ahead and add a little extra flower cluster to my, here's a nice one that I want to use here. There we go. So I can do that, and on my insert I can easily add a little flower cluster as well. So again, you just want to play around and build up. Paper clip that one in place. Okay, once it's stuck, I will go ahead and trim that piece off. That's at the back there. Okay, so when it goes and lays in the pocket, that's more or less what would show. And then this would be a permanent piece over here that you try and get it so that it doesn't look so, there we go, a brown and a blue eye. Maybe I'll put something behind the eyes so that it doesn't, there we go, that looks better. Right, so that would go over there like that. And then this would come out and this would stay. All right, so you want to make sure that you don't put something in, especially if you've got an image in the back like that. I don't want to go pop something in that's going to cover her up, unless that is your intention. You've got something you want to hide and you want to put a big one on. But now the problem if I put this one on this is that I can't open here. So you would have to be careful in your consideration of where things are going. So that can't go there either because it's going to lay on top. So you would have to trim it or move it over and then just trim off your excess. And then if your booklet goes in behind, that would then form part of the booklet and the cover up that embellishment. So what I'm trying to say in a very long roundabout way is that when you are layering, make sure that whatever you layer either hides or accents your bottom layer. So when it goes in like that, I think that looks really nice. I think that the mask offsets that, the cluster offsets there, and when you take it out, this will be staying behind, and then you'll open up like that. Right, so I haven't done this side yet, but I want, this gives the illusion that you need to lift this, but in actual fact, it's got to be pulled out. So we need a marker that says you need to page here. So again, you're going to dig through what you have, your embellishments. You could make another label to go here. You don't have to use an embellishment to page. So to do that, I would then just fold a piece of paper in half if you're wanting to make a label, and then just fold that in half. Score that down. If you're wanting to add your little label here, I would do it here at the top where we've still got to add some pattern paper. Okay, we can pop it in like that, but it doesn't look, I don't think it looks too good. Just a square, nobody's going to know what to do, and that's where your this little 5 1/16 inch circle punch comes in handy. We can just slide that in. Wrong side. There we go. Just cut that. So I just put it in to be able to get a little, and then if I'm going to slide this in now to create my part of a label, obviously that's going to be inked and everything. Let's just hop it on there. Right, and then you can then use that as the indicator that we need to turn, and then we can stick some pattern paper over that. Right, so then that turns out really nicely. So when my pattern paper, when I attach my pattern paper in, that's more or less what you're going to see then, just that little label sticking out. You also want to make sure that your label is not so far over that this page can't turn, and you want to make sure that when it sticks out over here that it still coordinates with the rest of your page. We can bring this down a little bit if you don't want it to stick out, but I wouldn't go past this. I wouldn't put it here. Okay, so I would make sure that I can't, well, I suppose we could go down that far. This is the furthest down you could go, but I don't mind it being out there. I plan to have it form part of my layer, but if that's not what you like, then you could bring it down so that it doesn't stick out past your page. Then it's tucked in. But I kind of like the idea of it being at the top and over there. Obviously you don't have to have it as, you didn't have to cut it as broad as what I have. I would rather, again, like I say, take away a bit, then try and add. So I can always edit that to be a little bit shorter. But again, you want to make sure that this doesn't go past your flap. Bring that down. Okay, and then that'll be inked. And I think that it forms quite a nice extra layer for there. All right. So there you can see that this doesn't need a lot of embellishing. You just need to add a little goodie here and there. If you're going to do like I plan to do and give it as a gift, I would do this, the minimalistic, add the fewest embellishments as possible, so as minimal as possible, and put the rest in a little packet. You can always pop it in here. There is enough space for you to pop in here with a little note that says used to add accents to your photos or embellishments. So there we go with that. When we turn over, again over here, you have the perfect opportunity to create another cluster. So you could go nice big and bold with these nice big flower clusters that we have. So I would do it more to the top. Okay. This we know turns and slides out, so we can put that like that. Or you could do something a little bit smaller. You could use the smaller clusters. This is one I cut out of the embellishment pack there, from behind it's the bonus sheet in the full pack. We've got this one that can go in over here, which picks up nicely with that, so we could do it there. You could just add a few extras to it and build up your own little flower cluster however you want. If you didn't want to do something that busy, you could just quite simply just add a little something in the corner like that, and all of that then helps with create a cluster. Okay, there's space here to add journaling and sentiments and all those little extras that you would like to add. Okay, so there's lots of room for adding in extra stuff and to make the album your own. Right, so that is this one done and dusted. I hope that you have enjoyed the process and that you're going to use some of the stuff that I've done as inspiration to make this mini album your own. I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's workshops. Thank you for watching.